afternoon. This is the Health and Emergency Services Committee in room 112 at the Sumner County building in Sumner County, Tennessee. I am calling this committee to order. We have 3 people currently who are not here: Daryl Rogers, Ben Harris, and Terry Wright. We'll reserve Terry until a few minutes because of his job. He may come in a little bit late. Present, I'll call everyone out. We'll call out who's here. Mary Janung, I'm Mary Janung speaking. I'm here.
Shannon Bergdorf.
Tim Jones.
Don Schmidt.
Thank you. Okay, so call to order and invocation. Shannon, would you please give the invocation?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the rain that we've had, and thank you for the beautiful sunshine today as a reprieve from the rain. Please bless us, everyone, as we are here to do the work of the citizens of Sumner County. Let us remember, Lord, who it is that we work for. It is for you, for them, and not for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We'll now vote on approval of the agenda. May I ask a question? Is this the time at this point where I would add something to the agenda?
Yes.
Before you approve it, yes.
Before I approve it, okay. So I would like to add to the agenda under new business, interviewing of interim chief Poss.
Is that a motion to discuss, or is it
It's a
to
motion.
add to?
It's a motion.
It's to add to the agenda.
Add the interview for tonight, or the
No, just
discussing
the
it?
discussion.
I'll second that motion.
Can that be done under the new agenda regulations and so forth?
Yes, you can amend it as long as it complies with the rules of the commission.
And then B.
We need
I
to
would-
vote, do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, we need to vote, right? Do we vote to add that?
You don't have to do each one, just go, if you've got some additional ones, go ahead and do it.
And B is to add discussion regarding the job descriptions.
That'll fit within the second too, that's fine.
Is that a old business or new business?
New business,
I know
we
it's
haven't
been-
had
has been discussed
we haven't
before.
actually discussed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that also. She made the motion, I'll second
So all approval
As amended.
as amended to the agenda? Say
Aye.
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 Anybody against? No? Okay. So now we go into approval of the actual agenda, sir? Is that-
No, we approved it as amended.
As amended,
Yeah.
okay. So now we're approval of the minutes.
So move.
it. Second.
Don Schmidt, Tim Jones. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Recognition of the public. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak to the committee? Sign up. No names on here, but if you forgot, I've got a pen and you can come sign up. Anyone? I'll close public recognition. Report of the chairman. I have no report. Report of the county mayor. He is absent, so he's obviously doesn't have a report. Report of the sheriff. Sheriff is not here.
Did they let you know that they weren't gonna be here?
No, they did not let me know. Report of the fire department.
I'm here for Chief Rob, he's out of town. We don't have the numbers for lunch, I've got him in with the holiday.
Can you state your name for the record?
I'm sorry, Wayne Drown, Oak Grove Fire Department.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any information for us?
Had no further report unless.
Okay, thank you for coming. Report of the emergency services director.
I apologize, I didn't know if we were doing the reports. I have them, but I hadn't got them passed out, so.
This is JR.
Yeah, Jay Austin, Assistant Chief EMS. I'll go ahead and get started on those, and you can take a look when you get them. The first page is our calls versus transport. Same reports you guys are used to seeing. But our call volume is up from May to June, 100 calls. And it looks like our transports are up about around 35, 40. So it is summer, and we're gonna see way more calls coming in. Your second page is your May and June call volume per station. So that's broken down, so you can take a look at that. If you have any questions, I can answer them there at the end. Your next page is your EMS revenue. So the yellow color is June. We brought in a little over $957,000 for the month of June. We will have all of July's revenue placed back into June because those calls were run in June. So Medicare usually runs about a month behind. So we have one more month of our revenue cycle. So with that being said, our budget, our projected revenue for that fiscal year was 8.8 million. So we're currently setting at almost 8.6 million.
So that, and that's on the last report.
Yes.
The last report was 7, I can't read if that's a 0 or a 6,
That's a 688.
688.
Yes, so we brought in almost $300,000 more. About 122,000 of that is the Medicaid kicker payment that we get quarterly. So that did come in May, but it came in right at the end of May, and it was not credited to our account until June. So regardless, we still got it. But we are on track right now to meet our projected revenue. And I've become assistant chief in 2016, and I don't ever remember hitting the projected revenue. So this will be the first time since I've been assistant chief that we've hit or exceeded our
And
budgeted revenue.
what do you
Projected
allude that to? Billing or the?
I think it's a combination of our paramedics and EMTs on the street, and we push getting the correct information the first time and getting insurance information and the correct information. I think it's a credit to our billing department for scrubbing those calls and getting those out. I think it's a credit to our billing service. Our contract's gonna be up in November, I believe it is, so it's gonna go out to bid. I would love to see them get it again because we've seen an increase in our revenue this year like never before.
How long have they been our billing service?
3 years. So we do a three-year cycle. on
Has
our
it been
billing.
increasing year over year?
We've been doing better than our previous company was, yes. So we're hearing rumors they may have acquired the previous, I don't know, but it's a little ways away. I don't want to worry about bidding it out just yet because we still got a few more months. But I would personally like to see us stay with the MSMC. They've been doing a fantastic job, and I would really like to see that happen.
Well, I will say that the classes, because I went to your classes for your employees, and I will say that the education you provided for them to teach them how to do the billing and the documentation was very good.
Right.
And it's built in so that it's.
We tell them to paint that picture and paint it very nicely, so. That being said, the last page there is the report that you guys wanted to see every month for our responses outside of the county. So you'll see that we had 31 responses outside of the county in June, majority of those being into Robertson County. The 2 for Davidson County were 2 wrecks right on the interstate on I-65, so we assisted him on those. And then you can see responding inside Sumner County. Robertson County did come into Sumner County around 34 times, and all those are in White House and Portland, that same area that they've been in. So, yes, sir.
I have a question on the previous page, the pie chart.
Yes.
What do you attribute the large increase in June versus May? Is that heat related? Or that's a lot more calls, a lot more money generated in June?
The 122,000, like I said, was a Medicaid.
But there's
kicker.
another
So
150,000.
there's another 150, and I think it was just a matter of making sure, going back and making sure everything is complete. If I'm not mistaken, April is down just a little bit, so I think that was kind of a cleanup of April to make sure everything is done and completed. that AR, making sure that they're getting anything that comes back in that we may have to look into. Maybe the social security number was wrong, so we need to contact the patient, something like that. But I think that I contribute that to digging in a little bit deeper with our billing department and them kind of scrubbing those calls an extra time and making sure they're correct.
So you're usually in a AR 30 days and then a 60. What is your average length of accounts receivable for your bill to be clean? Like, if I bill for a patient, how long do you guys normally have to wait to get return on your money?
Medicaid, or Medicare, I apologize, Medicare is usually within 2 weeks to 3 weeks.
Right.
They're pretty quick because everything's done electronically.
Right.
If it's a Medicare patient, they have a secondary, it's automatically sent out. Usually the private insurance, just like your Blue Cross Blue Shield and stuff like that, it can take around a month or so. So that's why in June, all those calls that are running that fiscal year at the
Yeah.
end, all that money is put back, so into fiscal year 23. Because it's all calls ran in that year.
So do you typically see like catch up or cleanup, as you said, every couple months to where these numbers may bounce a little bit? Because I noticed the call volume was basically the same, give or take, and
Right.
then I saw the increase in funds. Is that
Yeah.
typically how it goes? There's months of cleanup?
We'll see some months. Usually, February, it's a down month because it's short. And if you look, we could bring in $50,000 to $60,000 a day. So if you cut the month by 2 or 3, you're gonna see a
Yeah,
drop.
of course.
Usually January is a down month, historically, but this year, January was really good, February was really good. March was about where it needs to be, April had kind of dropped off. So I think it was just one of those weird things because the months in past that had been low were good this year.
But it wasn't because, my point is, it wasn't because of slow business or slow call count. It was,
No.
it was, what you were saying was because of billing
Mhm.
catch-ups.
Right.
So is
Right, I
that
think it-
typical to see the
in like-
catch-ups from time to time?
July
Mhm.
could be a down month because I believe 3 of the 4 billing clerks were out at least one week for vacation, so it put them a little bit behind.
Gotcha.
I did check the end of last week before we left, and we try to bill out the calls within 48 hours. Try to do it 24, but 48 is where we want to be. They were at like 96 hours. It was about 4 days out, but they should be pretty much caught up by now.
Okay.
So, and I think it's one of those things too that we're coming. I mean, I'll be honest, we're coming to the end of the fiscal year, and I want to meet goals. So it's like, hey, let's go back and look at those older, payments and stuff that we haven't gotten anything on, and let's scrub those again and see what we can do with them. So
Okay.
it's a collective effort, kind of going back. Long story short, I apologize. It's a collective effort from boots on the ground to John Michael or Chief Poss at the top. It's we all work hard to try to meet those goals.
Oh, great,
Thank you.
thank
All
you.
right, anything else?
Thank you.
We're good. Report of the Emergency Management Agency. I don't think they're here tonight. I think they're busy doing the fire, I don't know. Anyway, they're not here.
Yeah, they're out at Purple Radio
Yeah.
working.
So we'll forgive them tonight. We thank them for what they do though. Report of the Emergency Communications Center. Not here? All right. So we go to new business, right? Or old business?
Old business, yeah.
So for old business tonight, we're talking about transfer of reporting for volunteer fire department, sheriff, EMS, emergency management agency, emergency communication to the office of the county mayor. We talked about this last month at the meeting. I had asked that this not be done then because it was kind of a thing that approached us very quickly. We didn't have prepared time to look at it. So it's back on here tonight. So does anybody want to discuss, or do we have a motion on any of this?
I'll do a motion to discuss.
I'll second.
Okay. Shannon, second. Tim, first. Okay, so let's discuss.
And vote on it, yeah.
Sorry.
The question I had
You
is,
have to vote, oh, yeah, you have to vote on it first.
Oh, sorry.
I know it's pro forma
Everybody
budget.
voted.
Yeah.
Most of us were in on the motions, but we still got to vote.
Gotta make it.
Rules are
All in
rules.
favor?
Aye.
Anybody nay? No, good, okay, let's discuss.
The question I had was, you know, kind of regrouping on how that even happened last month. It did seem to go through pretty quickly, and I may have even voted for it, but I wanted to understand more of why we thought about taking it away, and now we're bringing it back. And if you got some more information, I want to hear.
I don't have a clear idea why it was brought forward. I expressed at the meeting that I felt that was not a good idea, that I felt that, you know, we needed more time to, as commissioners, to review it and think about what effect that would have. I personally have reviewed the impact of this, and my opinion is that by doing that, they're not going to come to our meeting, so that doesn't give the public reports that they normally would give us, and it's not a service to the public. I think that it should stay on there.
And to be clear, that's everything we just went over, like all this
Right.
information.
We talked about the building and all that. Yeah.
Which the argument could be made that we as a committee may not need that monthly, but this is for the citizens to watch too,
Right.
to see all this information. So we'd be taking all that away, and that's, as you can see, the majority of our meeting.
Right.
We'd be taking all that out of the citizens' hands.
I know that there was some discussion about the volunteers being removed from the agenda, volunteer fire departments. I personally feel that the volunteer fire departments do provide a service in the county, even though they are a non-county group. They're-
501c3
Yeah, but they do give a service.
nonprofit.
Nonprofit. And I feel that we do provide money to them at times, and I don't think it's a good idea to leave them off. That's just my thoughts. Anyone else? Sir?
If I may, I believe Mr. Waters, because this moved very quickly last time, but something caught my ear, which was his concern was the potential liability the committee could have, looking like they have any guidance or control over these entities. So I would encourage you to table this as old business, so.
Mr. Rogers? You said Mr. Waters?
Mr. Rogers.
That's what I
I'm
thought you
sorry.
meant. That's what I thought you
I
meant.
apologize.
No, I thought you meant that.
Roger Waters, I'm having a music moment. So I would really encourage that, because I didn't even get a clear understanding where he was getting this idea from. So I haven't had any direction on what research he may need, or the committee as a whole. But that was my understanding when it got tabled last time.
So in respect to the volunteer fire department?
The whole thing. It was very fast. I don't know what he was applying that to, but that was his big concern that I heard, was the potential liability the county could be taking by requiring or basically dictating the control of these entities and their reporting mechanisms and things of that nature. So
So is that okay?
Yeah, Tim.
Would it be okay then, instead of table, just defer this to next month and hear what he has to say on that?
sure,
Just put it
Yeah,
on next
it's
month, put
entirely
it on
up-
the agenda,
it's
and
entirely up to y'all.
I would make a motion, because I would like to hear more
Right.
from Commissioner
So the-
Rogers on it, to make a motion, to just put this on to
So
next
the
month.
motion on the table is to defer it to next month.
Yeah.
With Mr. Rogers giving us an explanation of why he chose to do this.
And we'll shoot an email to him explaining why and what to expect from the rest of the committee.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move it to next month. The next item on old business is hazard mitigation.
Yeah, I got it written down.
That is, Mr. Widener, who is not here, that is his plan, and he's not here to talk about it, so we'll move that to next month as old businesses.
You know what that was in reference to, the hazard mitigation?
Yeah.
What was it?
It's
You know?
I would like to make a motion for discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can you answer that question that I did?
To your
Out of
question
order.
about what is the hazard mitigation plan, it is the 180-page document that he sent to us in May. And I have the paper copy that I have gone through and read, and it's what they do for grants, it's for a grant. They have to do it as part of their requirements for something. I don't remember, I read the
Not sure
grant.
which
It's about
grant it was.
stormwater, it's about drought, it's about what do we do in Sumner County when there is bad weather and fires, et cetera.
Okay.
And so every city has to every city, like Billetsville has a plan, Millersville had a plan, White House had a plan, et cetera. So when this is what we're gonna have, like for instance, Millersville, the city of Millersville wanted a safe room, a tornado safe room in their city hall. And so then there's a table and it says how much that's cost, and then they send this off to the state for money towards this plan. But they had said that not all the information was in. So that, I don't know that it's finished, and I don't know that it has been sent out.
So this will be a presentation that he's going to give to us on what he's found? Is that what this is?
He sent the email with the document that was attached.
Right.
And so I guess any input that you have on that, you could do that
Okay.
with him. I don't know that he'll come back and give us a presentation, but there will be another meeting of all the cities at some point, and I don't know when because I haven't gotten to ask him, so that you could go to that, because those are public meetings. The hazard mitigation meetings are public meetings. Because part of the packet, he showed where they advertise for the public meetings at the senior citizen centers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? So, do we have a motion to move this to old business?
So move.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, we need a
Aye.
second.
Well, I'll second
Do we
that.
have to have that in the form of motion to move it to old business?
Or we keep it as old business. yeah.
Shannon second,
Yes.
Shannon Burkout.
now all
All in
business.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
And no? Or nobody said no? Okay. All right, we'll move on to new business. So item A was, I added to the agenda was regarding the interviewing for interim chief costs. Since he was appointed by the mayor and was approved for the appointment, I feel it's necessary that in my opinion, that it would be good to interview him and bring it forward so he could come and present. We could ask questions in an interview format. It would have to be presented in a forum of open public forum with public comment, and it would be open to all the public. So my idea was that for him to be able to come, we could ask him questions, and then he could answer the questions, and then we would dismiss after the interview, and then we can make our own conclusions on how we felt that we would vote. So that was why I wanted to bring it up.
Move to discuss.
Move to discuss.
You making the motion?
I'm
You're
making a
asking?
motion to discuss.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anyone want to talk about that?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so any discussion about that?
Does this preclude any individual interviews that we wanted to do? Because I think we already got permission to do that, correct? If we wanted to reach out to interim chief boss for personal interviews?
I
this
would have
suggestion-
to, I would have to research if there's any, a one-on-one, I would say no, only because you all did that to me, so, As long as it's not more than one and it's not immediately being debated as to any back and forth with another committee member or commissioner.
So the
That's
sunshine
it.
law would apply to that as long as it's not in
As long as it
violation of sunshine laws.
begins and ends with the
one
two of
person
you.
and no voting.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So,
I'm for that, but I would also just highly encourage interim chief boss to reach out to us individually or us reach out to him individually. I think some people may get more out of that, but I do like the idea of doing the group interview process.
well, I think it gives him an opportunity to come before anyone that wants to come and talk to interview him in a group. But it also gives the public an opportunity to see who he is and how he answers the questions. That's fairness to him. And that gives him, this is who I am, this is what I've done, and not just our own personal information we get from him individually. I just felt that it was more of an open process for him, so we would have to, what I understand, we would have to announce the meeting to interview him, and then he would be told, we would like him to come and interview. He doesn't have to. Am I understanding that right, Mr. Sedler? He wouldn't have to come if he don't want to. I'm sure he's the type of person that would come, but we would have to let everyone know and take it from there.
Now, which, did I touch on, let's just say he refuses. I mean, and he might, and I've said this a few times on the record, and in no way in taking a side or anything, but everyone I've spoken to that works for this man is giving him a positive review, and I'm not soliciting them, to ask him or her what they think of POS, but does this, what would happen if he refused? I mean, if he just
It's
says,
up
look,
to
my
him.
credentials speak for themselves, I mean, I'm just trying to go through,
Well, it's
different
essentially
scenarios
up to
before we,
him.
yeah.
If he doesn't want to come, that's his prerogative,
I just think it would heavily influence the vote one way or the other, so I think it'd be in his best interest to come. But that's why I also encourage the one-on-one conversations. In all fairness, he reached out to me and I took the call. But I think the way this process has played out has been very unfair to him. I know a little bit more about the man than I knew before, that I couldn't vote on before, but I'm learning that I may or may not be able to vote on now because I'm learning. So I think the message to the EMS community is that we're on their side and we want nothing but the best for them, but there's been a lot of misinformation being spread around. You could speculate as to who, but I mean, it was rumored during our election that we were going to privatize the EMS service if we got elected. And it was the first any of us had ever heard of that. So that was ridiculous and wrong. And now if you look into what's going on with the previous administration, that person is looking to be doing exactly what we were being accused of. Privatizing Sumner County, I think, is something we need to look at. He works for a private company, and I think that it says a lot for the EMS people to look to us.
And he would be trying to privatize it, Mr. Poss, or?
No, the previous administrator.
Okay.
And he works for a private company. So,
Well,
this is rumor, but I think the EMS service needs to look to us as fairness. And that's what we're trying to do, is fairness for their department. So as open and transparent as we can be, I'm all for that.
I'm going to give Mr. Hyde an opportunity to speak, he asked.
this has been a real frustrating experience with this altogether. Primarily because I think the commission has been cut out of the process.
Mhm.
And I was, in the beginning, I was for the commission being a part of the process. But there is a reality to this that we have to look at. And I know when to fold. This, and I'm not for pushing anybody for you or to vote against anybody. I don't care how anybody votes. I just know how I feel about the whole situation. We have to look at it like this. Mr. Poss, we have been told, we have learned, is appointed by the mayor, period. Whether we agree with it or not. The mayor has appointed him the chief. I would have rather had that appointment. But this is a reality. He has appointed him as an interim chief. And whether we like it or not, he can stay as interim chief forever. We have nothing to say about it. No matter what we do, no matter how many interviews we have or don't have, he can stay interim chief forever. That's a reality. Now, it was my idea that if he was to, if he were to become an interim chief and the commission didn't approve him, that we would have half of the difference between his salary and the chief's salary. That, I've learned, would take effect for the next person, because he's already the interim chief. So he'll, number one, he will get full salary. Number two, he will have no salary reduction. And he can stay as long as he wants to, as long as the mayor wants him to stay. And we have nothing to do with it now. You can have all the interviews you want to. You can do everything you want to. That's reality.
Yeah, I agree with what Commissioner Hyde's saying. And my efforts were just in cleaning up this whole mess of a process that I don't believe we created, but has turned out to be. I wish there was more discussion and getting on the same page before this happened, but that is the reality of it. In doing the voting and the interviewing in times to come, if we decide to do that, it would only serve to clean up what is. So I guess, how do we go about not getting it further muddied and messy with a negative recommendation or a negative vote at the full commission? Because basically what Commissioner Hyde's laid out is what we say really is not going to matter, except for further dividing
So it's
the legislative
because we
body
have-
from
it's
the
either up or
executive
down.
body.
It's either fish or cut bait. It's this.
Mhm.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter what the interview, I mean, I just felt that it would be good to have him
But
speak.
my question is, do we continue with this and send this to the full commission, or do we defer this to next month for this committee to make a decision with more members here to have more say-so in along the lines with what?
Well, I understand though, we deferred it in commission to this coming month. It's
To now.
coming again in July. he will be.
This is it? Oh,
Yeah,
for the
this-
July full meeting?
Mhm, yeah, so it was just deferred 1 month.
Yeah,
We
that's,
sent it to
that
committee.
was a point I was gonna make, was y'all really got two different things going on here.
Yeah.
Did we send it to the full commission in July, or did we send it back to committee?
It never got kicked back, it just got, moved to old
Just
business.
deferred to old business?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately here, and we can all do our own interviewing as commissioners. Having worked in the private sector for, you know, in the home inspection field mainly for 26, 27 years, you're talking, you gotta talk to the employee, this is just my view, you gotta talk to the employees of management, in this case, the employees of the potential chief. And again, look, whatever information y'all have, I mean, that's fine. I can only go by, as a commissioner, the information I receive and the feedback. And again, it's not solicited towards these, you know, EMS. They've come to me because they obviously see what's going on. And again, I have yet to have one negative review on Mr. Paso. I mean, yeah, that's where my point goes. As a commissioner, you've got to kind of say, well, I got all these positives, I got all these negatives, whichever outweigh your discussions is, to me, ultimately what you all have to do. I mean, you know, listening to Commissioner Hyde, I mean, you know, he makes some good points.
He does.
And I don't want to see this turn into a 3-ring circus. And that's the thing, I'm afraid of if we keep, and I'm not saying it will, but I'm just afraid it might if ultimately what he's saying, the mayor can just keep him indefinitely. So we're, you know, really, basically, if I'm understanding Mr. Hyde correctly, our hands are pretty much tied anyway.
I like the spirit of your suggestion, but we would have to invite him to come. And to Commissioner Schmidt's point about it turning into a 3-ring circus, if he chooses not to come, that would further the
Muddiness.
divides. I don't think, I just don't know that I could support that now. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
And it would be nice in a perfect world that we could all have that opportunity together. I understand that.
So was that made in the form of a motion, or were you just discussing what
We
you'd
were
like
just
to say?
discussing about
What you'd like to-
having an interview
Okay.
process. It's just a discussion.
I too don't know now, from what Mr. Settler has reminded us of, how would that take place between now and the next month's
Right.
commission meeting? If that's not possible to do, then I would, again, for the record, highly suggest Mr. Poss to reach out, or for us to reach out to him to talk to as many people as possible on the commission, so that an educated vote could be made in the July full commission meeting.
I mean, ultimately, you know, he gets voted in, however you want to put it. Ultimately, to me, you know, say you're a manager of a company or a manager of a department, ultimately you don't know, when you're hiring someone, you ultimately don't know their true colors, if there are some hidden things, until they've been on the job. No, it's just facts. I mean, you just don't. Yeah, I mean, it's a gamble, you know, either way.
No, but in all fairness, you do try to do your best.
Sure. No, I
And that's
understand.
what I think I mean, we're similar districts, and we're hearing similar things.
Yeah.
And I think getting the most, it would be in his interest to get the most votes as possible, despite whatever happens, because of what Commissioner Hyde said about could possibly be interim, you know, indefinitely, as long as he wants to. So it would be good to clean this up with a good vote.
I mean, is it fair to say
What's it?
that ultimate?
Let me clear that
Oh,
up.
yeah.
A majority decision on this, instead of just still muddied waters on how this goes, and not have one, and not just back off of it and say the appointment goes without, you know, a real confirmation I guess that's what I'm.
Well, you're gonna vote up or down. that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I'm not saying a positive vote, I'm saying a clean, vote with, information, a vote with information. That's why I'm encouraging the interview of some sort, whether it could be your way or whether it be one-on-one, whether he reaches out to us, whether we reach out to him. I want an informative vote.
Okay.
That's been my thing, since this whole thing started, was the process was horrible. It was botched from the very beginning, and I don't believe that was our fault.
Okay. So, to end, do we have any more
Well,
discussion?
ultimately, and so if I'm wrong, Mr. Hyde, I don't know if you want to chime in. Ultimately, it's going to be the mayor's butt on the
We
line. I
vote
hate to
for
put it because if this guy is good, he's no good, ultimately it falls under the purview of the mayor.
It does.
So it's not going to necessarily, in my opinion, reflect the commissioners, whether you vote up or down, but ultimately he's the guy that the mayor's the guy, Mr. Poss or whoever is going to have to report to. So if the guy doesn't turn out to be who he says he is, which I don't know that would be the case, but let's just say, for argument's sake, it was that, it's going to fall on the mayor and not.
But I'm also thinking of bigger picture than that. Yes, the person that appointed is going to be on line. But the people that confirmed, it's our responsibility too. If we don't do our due diligence as much as we can to confirm or not confirm. That's why I want that part cleaned up. But also, this is a big picture in the way of building relationships with the EMS department, which I believe have been damaged because of this whole messed up process. And if they see fairness in the procedure part of it at least, then that goes a long way. And that's all we can do is what we've stated tonight.
So is there, so there's no motion to do it, it's just discussion. So is there any more discussion? Everybody say what they had to say? Okay.
Do we need to bring it back? We don't have to make
No,
a
we don't
motion to
have to
bring it
make
back
a
to
motion.
commission
It's
because
just
it's
a
already
discussion.
going there, right?
Yeah, it's going to the commission, so.
Okay.
That's it. And then I had, B was the job description. There were 3 job descriptions that were provided to us by the mayor. But as we were speaking in my brain, I was thinking, we don't have enough of us here at the table to actually discuss the job descriptions. So it would probably be better to avoid doing that tonight and maybe move it to the next EMS meeting.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, 2 seconds.
Jones. Oh, no,
I
I mean, you
motioned,
motioned, I
second.
second, I'm sorry, getting it mixed up.
So we're kind of putting the cart after the horse. This possibly could be a confirmation without a job description.
They have a job description already, right now. They have one in place.
Is the mayor, does anybody know, has the mayor made a decision on which job description we're going to use for this
I'm
appointment?
not aware of that. I just know he gave us 3 of them. And they have one in place from the meetings that we've had, but,
So is the decision, not that we're making a decision, is the decision that's gonna be made at the next full commission meeting going to make moot the whole point of the job description?
well,
We're basically gonna have to cater a job description to fit the man that gets or doesn't get the position.
could be. That's what I'm
I
saying.
feel like this will make it moot.
Yeah, because the process is backwards, in my opinion. But I think that if we're going to talk about the job descriptions, the job description of the chief, they have a current job description, which they presented to us in our committee meetings. And right now, that's what they go by. That's what he's working under right now. I'm assuming that's what he's working under right now. He's not here to say that he is. But that's where, if there's a problem with the job description after he's appointed, then we can talk to him about it, but that to me would become an HR problem. I don't know.
So would it be something we move this to old business to
I would
clean up
suggest we
after?
do it on to old business. That's my suggestion.
Would that be appropriate, you think? To move the job description discussion to old business even after that, which even it may become an HR issue, and then you would just take it off of the agenda?
Well, the running theme here of late seems to be job descriptions coming in after the fact. So I would encourage, at any time you can do a job description to complete one. You could make this an independent issue, but it's really a commission decision, it's not a legal one.
Ultimately, would the commission vote on the job description? And if so, would that job description go directly to the new chief?
If the mayor's got control over him as an employee, then I think the mayor would have the authority to modify or change the job description. That's why he's creating them to turn in.
So this may not even be
So it's
a point of
actually-
discussion.
Not, so really it's a
Moot point also.
non-issue. So,
Kill it or move it.
I see. It's like,
Let's move it. Can I make a motion to move it to next month, just in case Chairman Rogers is in the middle of research on anything that,
you want to you're making a motion to move
Job
the
description
discussion, the job description
next
discussion to
month.
next month.
and if it's a moot point at that point, we just take it off the agenda at the time of the meeting. It won't
Okay.
cost any time or anything.
I second that, that's good.
Yeah, it's,
In favor?
I'll,
All in favor?
I'll,
No, so it's 3-1.
We're still in discussion, or did we vote? Did we vote?
We voted.
Voted to put
Okay.
it on the whole. So we have one more,
A motion to adjourn.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.